Richard Croucher, audit partner in the Auckland office. So I began my career in 2003 as an audit grad. So what appealed to me about BDO at that time was the partner interview. I'd been to a few around the firms and I found the partner interaction was really, really good at BDO. And the pleasing thing was that continued through. The team that I joined when I started on day one we're all really good people. We've got a bit of a value here, people, and that rung true from that first day. Some of those friends are still best friends today. So that's been a really, really good highlight of joining BDO in my career to date. So I've been here since 2003. The focus initially was to get to know my client base, get qualified, which I both achieved. They went hand in hand really, like the training that we got along the way on site was really good, but also the training and support that we got to get professionally qualified was top drawer at the time. We had a really good success rate. So got qualified, and BDO is part of a really large network, as most people know. So went to London in 2006 and joined the management consulting team at BDO, Stoy Hayward at the time. That was totally different to audit. So having spent 3 years in spreadsheets, I moved to a consulting team where I didn't touch a spreadsheet for a number of years. I was working with businesses and organisations to develop strategy, do operational effectiveness assignments, etc. Super interesting for me. I was involved with a national sporting body of a sport that I didn't play to help them develop their blueprint for grassroots of that sport. I was also fortunate enough to get a secondment, whilst on secondment, to Ofcom, who are the telecoms regulator in the UK. So I spent a few months there working on a large project around HDTV in the UK. So that was working with a team of lawyers, economists, technologists, and me. So that was super interesting. Learned a lot, met some really good people. Following that assignment, I had an engagement in Saudi Arabia, which again was really, really exciting. It was something I never would have had the opportunity to do if I had gone to London on my own, I feel. That involved developing strategic plans for a client that had a major restructure, implementing a new management team, and then getting them running with those plans. So that was really, really good. Again, no spreadsheets involved. Audit was a really good background for that project though. Able to identify different risks in the business and how we might work to mitigate those risks. I was in London during the global financial crisis. At that time, again, fortunate enough to get another secondment, this time into the restructuring group of RBS, which is a large British bank. They were in the process of being state-owned at that time, so there was a lot of consulting work around working with distressed businesses as they tried to execute their turnaround plans. Again, super exciting and something that I'd never done before, but again, the audit background was really, really useful for that. Also, whilst in the UK, I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to travel to Ethiopia, so I've always been keen on giving back where I can. I've been involved with charities in New Zealand as well. One thing I did when I was little was the 40-hour famine, so I had a bit of an interest in Ethiopia, and an opportunity arose to travel to Ethiopia and deliver aid to a village. That was awesome. It was really social as well in terms of fundraising to get there and to buy the medicine that we were taking. The power of the network was awesome at that time also. BDO back in Auckland did a really large fundraising campaign for me, and so got me a heap of cash to buy some medicine to take across. So that was all really, really good. So it was with no surprise that I eventually returned back to BDO in Auckland into the audit practice where I'm now a partner. Part of the appeal of coming back to BDO in New Zealand, despite having all those awesome experiences whilst abroad, was the client base that we do have here in New Zealand. It is a predominantly mid-market driven economy, and the clients that we do have are really active and really entrepreneurial in that space. So why I think BDO is just a really, really good choice for anyone looking to build on their accounting qualification and get into a professional services firm is that you've got direct client contact at a very early level. You're dealing with clients that are out there doing some pretty cool things. If I look at my client base, most of those businesses are businesses that I'd be really keen to be involved with myself. They're growing, they're trying new things, they're engaging, and are just good people. The other interesting thing with the New Zealand economy is because of the mid-market base and the fact that there's now a lot more investment funds around, given the succession plan of some of those businesses, there's a lot more M&A activity happening, either at a fund level or through mergers and acquisitions. So it's been really, really interesting to see the business combinations that have occurred over the past few years and working alongside clients as they sort of navigate through those. Yeah, so having been back in New Zealand, the team's grown significantly from the team that was when I left. But what's been really encouraging is the fact that that culture that I really enjoyed when I joined is still there, despite the team being now 70 people. We've still got really good opportunities to socialise and network with each other. There's really good training and development programs still in place. Our pass rates are right up there with the best in terms of that professional CA qualification. So all those really, really good things that I enjoyed as a graduate all those years ago are still there, but now the business is of a size where our opportunities are even bigger in terms of those clients that we're taking on board and the service lines that we're offering. In terms of my life at BDO, I find it's because of that close partner contact, and when I had that when I was a graduate coming through, the graduates get it now. So where you've got an issue, you've got something in your life that you want to work on that's outside of work, as long as you're communicating, I find it's a really good place to get some structures in place to make that happen. I've got 2 young girls, so I'm really protective of my weekends, never work a weekend. I've also got parameters around the days that I work late in the evening. So you're able to put these things in place because the team is accessible enough and the communication channels are open enough to be able to do that. I'm also really enjoy training for events. That takes a bit of time. BDO's been really flexible in terms of how I'm able to work that into my professional life and my home life. So really appreciative of it, and it's something that at BDO, if you've got a passion for something outside of work, you're communicating it, we're encouraging of it. In terms of things I wish I'd known as a grad, I think the main thing that has transpired through my career that I wasn't aware of when I joined was just how powerful that global network is. That opportunity to head to London to work on projects in Saudi Arabia, to work on projects in Australia, been just beyond what I was expecting when I came to my interview as a graduate. So if someone had told me that those opportunities were there and they were real and genuine, I would have made my decision a bit quicker.